Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Before I get started with Duke, his adorable Schnauzer puppy, I just want to give a brief introduction to who I am. My name is Katie. I've been grooming for 26 plus years now, and I started by working in a super busy boarding and grooming facility where we groomed 40 plus dogs a day. I did mobile for quite a while, and I currently work out of my house, which is fabulous. All this time I've also raised 4 kids, so working from home is the best. And I did do some certification and some competing in the mid 2000s. Did learn a lot, but decided competing wasn't really for me. And so that's about it. That's my experience. And if during the groom you have any questions, feel free to ask. And as always, if you like the video, please follow and subscribe. Thanks. And let's get started with Duke. So the first thing I'm going to do with him is just introduce him to the clippers, see how he reacts to the buzzing. Make sure he's not going to freak out on me. And he's doing great. So I'm going to start this groom with a number 7 blade. 99% of the time on my Schnauzers I would do a 10, but I feel like with a number 7 I've got a little bit more leeway if I make mistakes. Again, not knowing how he's going to react to things. I don't want to just jump in there with a short blade. Also, a 7's good. It gives you a little bit more of a natural look, a 7, a 5. I've had people request number 30s on their Schnauzers, which I just won't do. It's too short, causes too many skin issues in my opinion. In show, Schnauzers are always hand clipped, so a longer blade's going to give you a more natural looking appearance for him too. And I should mention this is pre-bath. Probably if I knew him really well, I'd just pop him right into the bath first. I think it would save a little time. But again, I don't know him, he doesn't know me, so I just want to see how he's going to do with things, especially before I try to power dry him, because that always is an interesting challenge. So you see on the body with that number 7, I'm always going with the grain. I'm going to clean this tail up really good. I'm going to go back in here with a 10 later for sure and clean that up. Should be tight back there. He's checking things out. And you'll see I don't have him attached to the grooming arm. I just want him to be comfortable. I want this first groom to be a good positive experience for him. And he's doing so well. And you'll see later on his little personality comes out. It's pretty funny, but I love Schnauzers. They're one of my favorite breeds to groom, even if they're a little feisty. So again, I'm just knocking off hair with that 7 blade. I'll go back in again and clean that up, make it tighter. And I'm going to reverse this 7 now. 7 in reverse is pretty much like using a 10. And I'm going to set that as eyebrows. His eyebrows should just come right off his forehead. I don't know how to explain that any better. It was explained to me. And then setting that beard right in. Take it right into those whisker nodules on the side and underneath. They've got little whisker nodules, and that's where you set that pattern. So now I've changed over to a 10 blade to do the ears. He's doing great. He's pretty comfortable, so I feel confident I can do this with the 10 without any incident. And clean up all that ear hair. I go every which direction with that blade, whatever it takes to get that hair off the inside of the ear. The outside, not so much. Just, again, go with the grain on the outside. Inside, I'm a little bit more crazy with the blade. And I'll even go back in there with a 30 and clean it up. He looks like he's ready for a nap already. He's definitely moving all around, but I'm just trying to go with the flow. And this is where I'm going to go back in and clean up that tail area with the 10 blade. And he's very curious, so that feels funny. Downward dog. And this is, I'm going in and cleaning up the groin area with the 10 blade, always with the 10 blade. I never go shorter, I don't want to cause any irritation. So now I've got a number 30 on. I'm going to clean up his pads. Feet are another thing. You just never know how a dog's going to react. Feet, nails, always a fun challenge. But he's being curious, but he's not misbehaving at all. So again, I'm just letting him do his thing. I had a breeder once tell me that right off the bat with a puppy, you need to put them on a mat and make them stand up and teach them how to behave, but that's not me. I will teach him how to behave down the road. If he comes in for frequent groomings, we're going to work on those skills, but this first time I just want him to get used to things. And it doesn't mean you have to be mean with him, it's just at some point we will start being a little firm. You'll see later on again he starts getting a little bitey. His little personality is pretty funny. And just get all that hair out of the pads, up the back of the pad, in between. And toenails. One thing I should mention about toenail clipping is if a dog does fight with me on toenails, I never let go of their foot. It's just, that teaches them that they've won. So if he were to fight me at all on this, I would just let him fight and not clip his nail and wait for him to calm down and then clip the nail. Because again, that's showing him that, you know, he's not going to win. So with the nails done, his pre-groom is done, so let's take him to the bath. So he's getting all soaped up, scrubbing his face. I use actually Lillian Ruff Blueberry Facial on all the dogs' faces. It's hypoallergenic, it's tearless, so I feel like it's a safe thing to use. Plus all dogs could use a little brightening around their face. And I am a hand washer, always have been. I just feel like I can feel things and scrub things well. He's shaking a little bit. But he's still doing great. And on his body, the shampoo I use, my go-to is always Davis Protein Aloe and Lanolin shampoo. I've been trying a lot of Groom products lately, which are pretty good too. But for some reason, the Davis product is just, I've never had any skin issues. It smells fairly mild, but still good. It's not overly perfumey. Makes the dog shine like no tomorrow. And my bathtub setup is just is a booster bath I've had this bathtub for 10 years and it's still holding up great. I did build this kind of wall around it with the PVC pipe and the backsplash. And I kind of lifted it up higher for my back. Someday I'd like to do a video just showing the tub setup and how I did that. And I'm just massaging him a little bit here, kind of calming him down. It feels good. Puts him to sleep. So rinsing all that soap out. Really, really important that you get all of that product out of there. His face. Doggies don't like their faces washed usually, but it's probably one of the dirtiest parts, so it's definitely necessary. And I'm going to cover up his nose while I rinse his face so that it doesn't get water down in his nose. And it's going to be time to get him fluffy and dry. I'm putting cotton in his ears. I do this with all of my dogs to help with the sound of the power dryer. It's pretty loud. I keep them wrapped up. I think wrapping them up in a towel for a few minutes helps absorb all that water. And again, I just don't know how he's going to be with his dryer, so I have a flying pig dryer, and the really nice thing about that dryer is that you can turn it down so it doesn't blast him right off the bat. And ease him into it. And I have a flat nozzle on this dryer. It came with two nozzles. It came with the round one and the flat one, but unfortunately my hound dog ate the round one. So this is the one I'm using. My hound dog eats pretty much everything. All my brushes. Takes them out in the yard. Everybody should have a hound dog that eats all their things. Alright, I'm going to turn it up a little bit. He's doing pretty well, so I'm going to turn the dryer up some. I do have some dogs that don't like to be dried at all, and I will stick them under a fan for a while, but if I can get some of that water out and fluff that coat up some, that's what I prefer. Once he's about 3/4 of the way dry, I am going to put him under a fan to get his head dry. Again, I want this to be a good experience for him, so I don't want to overdo it. I'll fix those eyebrows so when he goes under the fan, they blow the right way. And separating the coat out. That's why I'm combing him, because I don't want to put him under the fan with a mashed up coat. I want to separate all that hair so he can get dry quicker. And I love this brush. It's a wooden brush and the pens are actually coated in plastic, so it's not as abrasive as the regular slicker brushes. I got this one off of Amazon. It's my favorite. Dogs seem to tolerate it much better. So he's been so amazing, so I'm going to reward him with a snack before I put him under the fan to dry the rest of him. And I'll probably take about 10 minutes under the fan with him since he's mostly dry and all brushed out. So he's all dry. It's really important that your dog is completely dry to do a good haircut on him. And I'm going to go back over him with the 7. All that hair that sticks up. I back brushed him. I want this smooth, smooth. And this is where you really want to start setting in your pattern well and blending. I do a lot of blending with my clippers, but I'm going to go back through here in a bit and blend with my thinning shears as well. We never had thinning shears years ago, so we learned how to blend pretty well with clippers. And again, right now this is all 7 blade, but I am going in reverse here in the neck to make that tighter. I'm going to take that down to the elbow. And I am introducing him to being hooked up to the grooming arm, but you see it's super loose. And now I'm using a 10 on his head. Tight, tight, tight. All that hair gone. I'll also say on a puppy, I don't usually pluck their ears the first time. I feel like him being on the grooming table for an hour is enough. I just make sure it's all clipped out of there. I'm not a huge fan of ear plucking. I do it when owners request it or when I feel like it's super necessary. But I can get a lot of hair out of there just with the clippers. Now I'm switching to my wall clippers with a 5-in-1 blade. best clippers ever. And I'm going to take a 30 blade in there and I'm going to get that really tight in there. Again, getting all that hair out of there. So I'm going to use thinning shears in the corner of his eyes. Comb all that hair forward. Comb, comb, comb. These are curved thinners. I don't generally, well, okay, sometimes I do go in there in the corners of their eyes and use a 10 blade, but again, for him, this is a safer option for me, for him. I'm using my curved shears to set in his eyebrows. Comb it all forward from the corner of the eye to the tip of the nose. That's how I set my angles in on eyebrows. And then I'm just going to remove some of that cheek hair. I never go in and remove a lot of that hair in top of the nose, none of that, just the corners of the eyes, just the side of the face. I don't remove all that hair under the eyes. Now we're going to trim the ears right down to the flesh. And if you hold the ear in your hand, helps prevent any accidents. Hold it flat. My dogs are going crazy. So the next thing I'm going to do is trim his feet. On his Groom, since he's a puppy, it's his first time, I'm not really going to get into a lot of scissoring his skirt. I'll probably neaten it up a little bit, but mostly I'm just doing the pattern, his head, and trimming around his feet well, and I'm going to save the rest of those things for his next Groom. He's been on the table a good amount of time. And I'm using my curved shears here. I'm going to trim around his pads, tight feet. And you can see he's pulling a little bit, but again, it's the same with the nails. I'm not going to let go. I'm not going to let him think that he's going to win by pulling and getting out of it. I'm not being mean. I'm just letting him know that all that pulling is not going to work. And he's going to start here on the back foot trying to nip me a little bit as well. And I just give him some firm corrections and tell him no, not allowed to do that. And he does it a few times and just a few corrections, and he picks it up pretty quickly. So I'm scissoring all around his feet, and again just blending in like the hawk hair on the back of his foot. I'm just going to blend that into the scissor work I did around his foot, but that's pretty much all the scissoring I'm going to do on him today. He's just a funny guy. He's a smart guy, and he learns pretty fast. I'll be interested to see how he does for his next groom, because he seems pretty confident. I always tell people with their puppies to never expect a perfect groom the first go. It's a learning experience. And they have to get used to things. Clippers in their face, sitting on the table. It's like grooming a toddler. And I'm just neatening this up here, making sure it's super tight and there's no sticky outies, and I'm going to do a little thinning shear work on the top of the foot to blend that. And then for the rest of his groom, I'm just going to make sure, everything's neat, tidy, blend in his skirt, the clipper lines. I'm going to use my thinning shears to blend those in. It's just a lot of nitpicking. And so I'm just going to let the video roll, and thank you guys for joining me. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. Super appreciate you sticking with me through this video. It's my first one, so I'm sure it's very amateurish, but we can only go up from here. you.